looks good.
Okay.
All right. Hold on just a second.
Doot.
Unmuting. Okay.
So, hello everybody.
Hey, I'm Michael,
And I am Jamie.
and this is...
Yes, the Two of Wands.
Yes, indeed.
So, and I'm just getting myself together here a little bit.
Today is the wheel.
Today, yep, we are doing O Fortuna.
Yes, indeed.
So,
Goddess Fortuna.
so what is Two of Wands, Michael? Why are we doing this?
Well, Two of Wands is when Jamie and I get together every week and we discuss a different card of the tarot.
We do. Why do we do it?
Why do we do it? We do it because we
Want to save our relationships.
want to save our marriages.
Yes. I love telling the story, and there's plenty of people who haven't heard it, but the simple fact is that we would get together for dinner, and our significant others would listen to us talk for hours about the tarot. Because Michael is... What are you doing, Michael?
I am making a deck.
Michael is creating his own tarot deck.
Yes.
And so we would get back and we'd talk about it and everything else. And they finally said, no more.
So we took it off. So we took it live.
We agreed that we were going to get together and we weren't going to talk about the tarot at all during the week. That we were only going to talk about it when we got in front of the camera. So we know what we're going to be doing. I have no clue what Michael's going to talk about or
likewise.
say. Because we have not talked about the tarot all week. Right. So that is what we're doing now. So,
without further ado,
we're on number 10, the Wheel of Fortune.
I prefer to call it the wheel because I don't see...
O Fortuna.
Well, I know, but it can be good or bad.
And this is what our spouses had to hear.
So I when you say the Wheel of Fortune, that just makes me think of Pat Sajak and going bankrupt and then spinning the old wheel. But for me, I see it as the wheel of the tarot. I see as encompassing both good and bad. So to call it fortune is
understood.
Half,
but
only half.
But the thing is that when we are talking about the tarot and we're talking about this, you know me, so Mike's more on the esoteric side. I like the historical side. And I want to know how people would have seen it in the 15th century.
Sure. So let's go back to the beginning.
So you want to go to the... Well, nope, we're going to go even before that.
Oh, even before that? Oh, take me back. Take me back.
So the simple fact is that the wheel has been a representation for thousands of years.
That's true.
To represent fortune. I mean, if we've heard about the fates, with the Greek, the fates, and they would sit there and dole out and they'd cut the threads and stuff. But where in the Middle Ages, where they got the image that you start seeing that Shakespeare started referencing, everybody started referencing, is that you had Boethius.
Okay. From
480 to 524. And he had done his consolidation of philosophy. And so they would have read this. And so all the emblems and everything you're seeing, when you're seeing, medieval motifs about the wheel, they're pulling from these books that he wrote with the example of, again, in, what was it? In the 6th century... The concept predates, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm just going to read a little bit. I'm going to read a little bit of it so that you can see where it came from.
Okay, sure.
And why I say that it's like, it is the Wheel of Fortune because, that's the people who designed it. That's what they were looking at. So
all right,
when fortune...
We'll go with it. We'll go with it for now.
So he says that when fortune turns her wheel with her proud right hand, she is unpredictable as the flooding Euripus. At one moment she fiercely tears down mighty kings. At the next, the hypocrite exalts the humbled captive. She neither hears nor cares about the tears of those in misery. With a hard heart, she laughs at the pain she causes. This is the way she amuses herself. This is the way she shows her power. She shows her servants the marvel of a man despairing and happy within an hour.
Right, both good and bad.
Yeah, exactly. And so, another part, having entrusted yourself to fortune's domain, you must conform to your mistress's ways. What are What are you trying to halt the motion of her whirling wheel? Dimmest fool that you are, you must realize that if the wheel stops turning, it ceases to be the course of chance. So the book is going on, and I mean, it's just all about the rise and fall, the turning of the wheel.
Sure.
And so churches have that emblem, and
the mandala, yeah.
you know, so yeah, yes, and so that's what they're thinking about when. And as you said, let's go ahead and take a look then at the Visconti,
okay.
1451. And I know you're going to come.
Yeah,
I know what you're going to say.
I got some things.
I know, so I'm going to let you.
So the earliest example of the tarot cards that included was the Brambilla, which was one of the Visconti Sforza decks. But this deck actually only had 2 cards. It was the Emperor and the Wheel. So this one goes really far back as far as tarot history goes. The Wheel is been with us since the beginning that we know of. And in this version, the Visconti Sforza,
1451.
Right, exactly. Well, let's see here. Yeah. Well, according to my record, Brambilla was between 1420 and 1444.
That was when he was born. That was his birth. And death, right?
That's
or is that's somewhere in between?
Somewhere in between.
It's around. Yeah, I even have it listed as around 1451. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So
it's around that.
Around 1420 to 1444.
Okay.
A little bit earlier than what you had, but anyway, those 2 cards made it. So let's start with the we've already done the Emperor, but with the Wheel, you see the guys rising up and the one at the top and the one coming down. And now, if you look very closely, you'll see. Let's see here. There's ass ears.
Yeah.
That are growing, and it's very subtle, but they are there, and you can see it just like peeking out there. Right as he goes up.
You got him on him.
Yep.
You got him there.
Yep. And you even might see a tail on the one going down.
And you do see a tail on the one going down.
It's possible. But yeah, so the idea being that power corrupts as you get to the top. And, but those at the top, it's not a very stable top. You're going to come down eventually.
Well, you want to know what's interesting. So you say the top is not stable. Why do you say that?
Because the wheel is always in motion.
But have you noticed that he's on a platform?
Yep, sure.
He is on a platform there.
Yeah.
So it is true. Yes, and that's what it means, coming around.
Sure.
But it's interesting because I had not noticed the platform before until I started looking.
Sure.
I mean, it's on the card.
It's on the card.
But I just never noticed. Nobody ever pointed out there was a platform there.
Yeah.
So,
and actually, there's also hidden in here is these little scrolls, and you can't even make out what they say anymore. But thanks to historians that have researched these things, we know that they translate as the guy going up saying, I shall reign. Mm-hmm. The one at the top saying I reign. Mm-hmm. The one going down saying I reigned. And the one at the bottom saying I have no reign.
I have never reigned. Yep.
Yeah. So that is and the in the center there is goddess Fortuna, the Roman goddess of luck, who turns the wheel.
And notice that she is blindfolded.
She is, because luck is blind.
And she has her back to the wheel. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she is spinning it, totally blindfolded, and yeah, as things rotate around. Let me see what else I had on that one. Let's see, we got our old photo. Yeah, and so the question I had and what I went looking for is, why donkey ears? Why a monkey tail?
Because big power, like I said, power corrupts. So it's kind of like, how in Pinocchio he started turning into a donkey when he was doing improper things. That's the whole idea, is that you become an ass as the more power you get, and then
what I was reading is it's the folly of man. It's like to think that you can attain that what an ass.
Well, you can, but just don't.
They're saying that, because this is the common man that's on the bottom.
Well,
And
yeah.
the common man can never rule. So the commoners who carry the burden of the wheel, because he's actually carrying the wheel.
I don't see him as the common man.
Well, I'm just going, okay, so.
I see him as death.
As death?
Yeah. So without.
Where did you read that?
Without rain, the person is at the bottom. Let me see if I. Yeah, I mean, this card makes it pretty blatant. Where did I read that? Let's see here. Well, it's definitely what I'm doing for my card. I think I wrote it in Robert Place's book. He was giving. He was saying how the four could be represented by the one going up could be the charioteer from earlier on.
Yeah.
And then on top is the Hierophant, falling down the Hanged Man, and below is Death.
Okay.
So it's
that's speculation. Okay. So
and of course it's speculation.
yeah. So
but I don't really see him as the common man. But did somebody else think of that?
well, yeah, and actually, a really good website. tarotwheel.net.
Okay.
I have to recommend that to anybody who's interested in history because this person has gone through. And I do like the fact, he's the one that pointed out the fact that I had never noticed before, but literally, I mean, the wheel is on his back.
Yeah.
Regardless of anything. And he's saying it's the commoner who carries the burden of the wheel. Without the commoners, no leaders. And without leaders, no struggle for the top. The representation of the Wheel of Fortune is very traditional, and then it talks about the 13th century manuscript as it goes on.
That's a good interpretation. I don't have a problem with him being represented that way.
So you've got royalty, you've got power on top, and it's all burdened by the common man.
Sure.
So
political commentary.
Yeah. And so another 13th, so the Carmina Burana, we were talking about that.
Yep.
Before we leave the historical decks.
Yeah.
The Carmina Burana, which we had in the 13th century, the mad monks who were writing all this about debauch and everything else, really cool stuff. But I like the phrase they have in here where they talk about it. And the song is O Fortuna. And this is the 13th century. The wheel of fortune turns, I go down, demeaned. Another is rised up, far too high up. Sits the king at the summit, let him fear ruin, for under the axis is written Queen Hecuba.
Very nice poetry.
Which is the one who is spinning. But
Yeah.
yes, so I mean, and that's the third. That's still 100 years before this.
Yeah.
So they had all this in the imagery.
Oh, the history was there. I mean, they just didn't pull this out of the hat. They were, they were basing it off of.
Yeah. So and it's all the poetry and the art.
And another factoid of history for you, the word revolution. The wheel turning is the origin for that word, and it was first used in France to indicate the casting down of the old monarch and regime. So very appropriate that you've got the wheel turning and the ones in power.
Well, okay,
won't last.
And so what I have, so it was originally the tarot. This card was called the Rota Fortunae, and according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the British version is a fixed order of rotation, as in persons or duty, but the history and etymology for rota is the noun Latin
for wheel. Sure. Yep, absolutely. So, and you'll see that sneak in later in the Rider-Waite deck, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Good old Mr. Wade.
Yeah,
he was special, wasn't he? The other thing, though, is so there is speculation about why the child has wings. I'm sorry, the ears. Where did I put that? The ass and the monkey. We have, and so the ass is striving to ascend beyond his natural position of that person. And according to medieval book Physiologist, the devil was Semidea, or God's monkey, and the monkey was associated with humanity's fall and continued to represent human sin in the Middle Ages.
Whose speculation is this one?
It's not. It's a medieval book called Physiologus, and the devil was called Simia Dea.
Okay.
And this is a book from the Middle Ages.
Okay. An interesting interpretation.
Yep. And so, and that's only speculation.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
people are asking, why the heck does he have a tail? Why does he have ears?
I mean,
So that's one possible.
One possibility. I mean, I definitely see the ears. The tail is more. There's some gray area there. It could be, a scroll that
came out of his butt.
Well, it could be a decorative element. It's.
And I absolutely agree. It's difficult to tell, but I believe probably for me that there was probably a cultural reason. People in the 1400s would have known what that meant when they saw it, because later on the tarot, and this is created from other designs. So later tarots, also just 100 years later, then start going to the ass and the monkey.
Absolutely.
So,
but as we know, a lot of things get built upon.
Oh, absolutely.
And corrupted over time.
Absolutely.
But would you want to move a little forward in time?
Let's see. Let's make sure we little man his knees. Blah blah blah. Sure.
Okay. All right. So, moving to.
Well.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then we can go with the Noble, which is the 1659, which is the first woodcut, first mass-produced woodcut. And that's where you start seeing the monkey,
right,
the donkey, and the person sitting on top. Again, we still have the platform at the top, which, again, wow, I just can't believe I never noticed that.
There is a platform, but it's an unstable one.
And now we have Fortuna's gone, and we have a hand crank.
Yeah. And Fortuna is off stage, so she's there, but we just don't see her.
And we have the axle here, and we lose the axle later on as we go.
Yeah.
So what version is that you have right there?
It's a later Marseille, but same. I don't have the Noble, so I just wanted to show something up here on my screen.
And it's interesting because I don't know why or what the difference is, but the Visconti shows them going clockwise.
Yes. Okay. So here,
we have the counterclockwise.
I do have some information on that. Okay. So the reason, or the confusion between which way the wheel spins, it is because the wheel is a water wheel. And the whole idea is that when you have a water wheel that is undershot, where the water flows underneath the wheel spins counterclockwise. If you have the water pouring on top of the wheel overshot, then it turns clockwise. So in decks,
unless you actually take the water thing and put it the other way, because the river could be going this way. You could plain and simply have that boathouse on the other side, and then the wheel's going to spin the other direction.
If the water's flowing the other way,
yeah. So go ahead. Yeah.
I'm not sure,
but I'm hearing what you're saying.
Okay. Anyway, the idea being is that, let's see here. What was I saying? Which way does the water flow? Okay, so the Visconti and then the JJ1, it goes clockwise. The Rider-Waite-Smith and the Marseille goes counterclockwise. And this is according to the Tarot Encyclopedia, page 329.
There you go.
But yeah, so there is some variation in which way the wheel spins. I personally like it going clockwise with the sun, docile, as opposed to Wintershin. So for my deck, I'm having it with the water flowing like off from on the top.
Going what we're used to, what we see, we imagine a clock. We have clockwise.
Exactly.
And that's why we call it that instead of counterclockwise. And it seems more natural to me that way.
Exactly.
Although, again, who am I, right?
Right. According to Marseille, it wasn't. So, they did it the counterclockwise. But that, to me, looks a little funny. Yeah. I'm making it clockwise. I like the old school Visconti.
Yeah.
So, going with that.
Okay.
But
And as we're going to the 16th century, how about if I quote Shakespeare now?
sure.
Let's see.
Jamie loves Shakespeare.
I do. Century fortune, good night, smile once more, turn thy wheel. So even Shakespeare was talking about. Anyway, that was it. He talks about fortune all through it, but nothing about a wheel. That's the only one that mentions a wheel.
Hey, but he does.
I know.
The bard does.
Turn thy wheel. I love Shakespeare. That's what this jacket, hoods don't make monks, in case anybody's ever noticed that. That is from Shakespeare.
Very good.
Yeah. Henry VIII. That's the one where the globe got burned down.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So anyway.
All right, so
Can we talk about Shakespeare for a while?
I don't think we have enough time.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. No, go ahead.
You want to talk about numerology?
We can.
Okay, so the number 10.
That's a special number. Tell us about the number 10, Michael.
I shall. The Pythagoreans consider 10 to be the perfect number. But wait, you said, well, I thought they thought 9 was the perfect number. Well, that's true, but 10 was even beyond perfection, even greater. So it was like a return to unity, and therefore it was the perfect number. So you have 10 fingers. There's 10 circles of the tetractys, the Pythagorean thing. There's 10 Sephiroth in the Kabbalistic tree of life. There's 10 commandments. There in the Divine Comedy, it's divided into 100 cantos, 10 times 10.
There's 10 fingers.
And 10 fingers, 10 toes, exactly. So 10 is a very...
Which you realize that if we had evolved with that...
It might be all different.
Yep. 4 would be... 8 would be the perfect number.
It would be, yeah. But, well, that's on another planet in another world. But
go ahead.
But here on Earth, yeah, 10 has a very...
10 is the
that powerful number.
It
Yeah.
is.
And 100 being 10 times 10 is like perfection on the highest level. It's like they used to say, "Oh, give me 100 men," and that was just a rough estimate. It wasn't actually 100 men. It just meant a lot, or an army, or a big perfect group. So in that spirit. That's what was one of the things that got me excited about creating a 100 card deck, because I thought it would be a nice, complete, the full deck. Mm-hmm. So that's as you know, I'm including these lesser known cards and digging up a lot of obscure and arcane.
Different cards, yeah.
Different cards to flesh out the deck and make it 100, but it is.
So if we're going to talk about the 10 also, so in the tarot, what is 10? 10 is, 9 is completion. 10 is that
return.
It's a return. So you have the 1 and the 0. It's that moment where it's like there's a breath.
Yeah, and it's like a connection to the Fool, because the Fool is 0, right? So the 10 is the beginning of the next cycle. So it's like that between incarnation thing that the Fool is, because he's the unmanifested, he hasn't walked into the real world. He's still in this ethereal space, and the Wheel is, we're back in that in-between space. This brings me to some Hindu ideas. The samsara.
Well, hold on. We're still talking. Are you still talking about the number 10 with the samsara, or?
Well, it's. I was going into more of a of what my. Do you have more numerology?
That for me, with the numerology of the cards, I know a lot of people will say, from that point you go 1 plus 0 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 3 is 4, things like that. But I think me and Mike agree.
We see it as cycles. Yeah.
I see it as cycles of 10.
Right.
So we've gone through the first cycle of
made it
cards.
through the first cycle.
So we've gone through what the Fool, the people and the lessons he's had to learn in society, and then you have the Hermit who's reflecting on the bigger picture.
Right.
And now we have 10, which is the completion, and now it's time to move to the next higher level, the next. Yep. So it's almost like a rebirth to a higher level now, and to start learning our new lessons.
Exactly.
Once we've completed the lessons 1 through 10 here on Earth.
Right, even if you want to take the next cycles on Earth or not on Earth, I'm not sure, but
right. But I'm just using that as an example.
Absolutely, you can definitely think of it in that way. The next set being more divine ideas as opposed to earthly ones. But yeah, absolutely. It's definitely cycles of 10. I definitely see it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, neither way is wrong.
Nope.
You know,
There is no wrong or right.
Especially if you're doing the numerology where you want to find out what your birth card is. So you would take your month, your day, your year, add them all together, then you get to the one number or possibly two numbers. So I mean, neither's wrong, but I really do like that whole cosmic wheel coming back around.
As do I, and it's so appropriate for the wheel. But now,
yes.
If you don't mind going back to the Samsara.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so it's a Sanskrit word that means wandering through. So it's that, like I said with the Fool, it's this going between incarnations. It's a completion, moving to the next phase. But the incarnation, death, reincarnation cycle is how you can see the wheel. Mm-hmm. So it's you can see it as like the march of a life, really, and how you start off young and you're aspiring towards the top. Mm-hmm. You reach the top, and then you can see you eventually have to descend back down and meet death, and then the cycle starts again. So right. That's one way to look at the wheel is in incarnation cycles.
Sure. Yep. I mean, yeah, there is definite ways of looking at it. When we're looking at the tarot, it's like, yes, you can see it as destiny and chance changing and being prepared and all that stuff. But yes, it can be about death and rebirth.
Sure, absolutely.
It is a cycle. It is a wheel.
And there's good and bad fortune that comes along in every lifetime. So, depending on what part of the wheel you are focused on, it could be good or it could be bad.
Now, what the 10th Doctor say? I think he said, "I'm not ready yet," which meant he was going to die,
right, or be incarnated in
that's my geekdom right there.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But we want to cling to what we know because we fear the unknown.
That's true.
Yeah, and that was kind of the reading that this morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your morning musings.
Yeah. So, I do a morning meditation every morning at 7:30. I'll throw that out. But okay.
All right, ready to go esoteric?
Nope.
Not yet? Okay.
Do we want to take a look at some of the historical decks?
Yeah. Keep going.
Flip through? Okay.
Go through.
So let's just go ahead and then we'll move into the modern and the esoteric.
All right.
Because...
Well, it's not necessarily modern. I was just jumping ahead to Levi, who's pretty old.
1700s.
Yeah.
So again, and as we move forward, we'll also see when we get into the esoteric, you start seeing a lot of the Egyptian stuff and things like that.
Yep.
But
before we get there, what do you got for me?
We had the Noble.
Yes.
So I was just going to show some of the different decks.
Oh, that was the Jamie's Noble with the platform guy on top.
Yep. So here we have the Noble, and then I've got the 1JJ Swiss Tarot, which is derived from the Tarot de Basquiat of 1831.
Yep, that's the other one I was talking about, which does go clockwise.
And this one does go clockwise, and this one does have Fortuna turning it blindly. And up here, are they dancing or are they struggling? Is there a fight going on? That's my question.
Either way.
So it can go either way, but it's interesting. They're actually falling off a cliff here.
Yeah.
We can see that this is actually like tree roots coming in. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Hold that guy up real quick.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's a real interesting card.
And then we have my favorite as far as reading with the Marseille, which is the Convert deck. And it's interesting because now the wheel has lost its, and this is 1760. Mm-hmm. So the 1JJ was 1831.
Oh, we're jumping around.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we weren't, but
yeah.
but things got moved around, and that's okay. But what's interesting about this is that in the 1760s, so after the Noble, we have the 1760, and the other ones came after that. But we lost Lady Fortuna here
in the Marseille tradition.
In the Marseille, and Also, the wheel has lost one of its axles. But now we can see that along with the Noble, we've definitely gone, as we already discussed, we've got the donkey here. We've got the we've got the monkey
going down.
Yeah. And we're going to see kind of this emblem again coming up later on, which you can see that this is a crowned person holding a sword like this. Mm-hmm. And have you noticed where else that is?
That would be
holding a sword?
Justice, right?
No. I'm just going to kind of jump ahead here for a second. Everybody's seen the Rider-Waite. The Rider-Waite brings back that sword, which I think is interesting. We'll talk about the Rider-Waite later on. Yeah. But there's that sword again. So that's 1659.
He's in power. Yeah.
1760.
The one on the top who's in power wields the sword.
Yeah. And then this is a beautiful card right here, just jumping to the 1880s. So this is another Italian deck here. Okay, but I thought this was beautiful, and I was just going to show the history. And so I'm not sure what the flame and the smoke rising up means. And I thought I wanted to show you that because I know you're doing your tarot, and it's like, but I think that is interesting and kind of, I wonder what the actual meaning is, and I was going to throw that out to you.
The ancient Italian
deck?
Yeah.
Because that kind of gives it a cool little look right there. And again, we can barely see a handle.
The crank, yeah.
Yep. And then
a fox going up.
Yep. Yeah.
Or a wolf or something.
A wolf or something. And then and they're looking across, and then finally we have, and actually that looks like probably Juno.
Yeah, lightning
Jupiter.
Bolts.
I mean Jupiter with
lightning bolts. Yep.
And then of course, then we come to the Swiss JJ, which is the 1831. So there we go, and then we'll probably go to the other ones. This is another beautiful one right here, though.
Yeah.
1893.
Well, let me rewind a little bit back to 1780s for Italia. So Italia was inspired much of the esoteric decks that came later on. I'm sorry, this isn't Italia. This is Levi.
Is that Levi?
That is Levi. I apologize, but I'm glad I corrected myself. So this is Levi, and remember, he didn't make his own deck, but he did inspire many, and he made 3 cards: the Devil, the Chariot, and this one. And on this card, we see. So going up, we have Typhon, which is the Greek name for Seth, the evil brother of Osiris. And going, that's going down. Going down is Typhon. He's the negative. Going up, we have Hermanubis.
Anubis, yeah.
Well, it's a combination of Hermes and Anubis.
Okay.
And it's called Hermanubis. Also known as Azoth, which represents mind or intelligence. And then on the top, we have the Sphinx, aka Archie.
And Veronica.
and that represents the gnosis or the higher mind. So Levi is adding a whole bunch of new symbology. What I really like about this, though, is that the water wheel is sitting on what looks like a canoe. Mm-hmm. It's definitely in the water there, bringing back that whole fluid idea of the wheel, which resonates for me.
Yeah, and so Levi is the 18th century. Yes.
Yeah, 19th century, 1860. Yeah. And soon after, in the Worth Tarot, 1889, is very much inspired by him. You can see.
Yeah, we both have that one.
The similarities.
And so, this one predates the Rider-Waite. They say that if Waite hadn't come out with his deck, that this is the one that we would all be using now.
Right, and in the Worth version, it follows the Levi very closely.
Did he? Okay, so when the jeans first came out, did he design these before or after the jeans?
Nothing to do with the genes.
So he has nothing to do with the genes?
Nothing. No, sorry.
Really?
But
That's disappointing.
That's funny though.
Because this guy here, if you look, he looks like he's actually wearing jeans. Okay, well, never mind then.
But we do have the capricious, the snakes there, and a whole bunch of other things. Let's see here.
Oh, interesting. So Levi comes. He comes. Wait comes back, and so does Levi, and they have the swords.
The swords. Yep, the swords.
They have the swords, even though.
Well, he looks like a feather. Well, no, it is a sword.
That's a sword.
That is a sword.
Okay.
Yep. Guy on power has the sword. But the other thing that they go back to is the 8 spokes, which is a connection to some connect to the Buddhist eightfold path, where you are trying to escape the cycle of rebirth by following these 8 ideas.
Okay.
So again, that whole trying to get out of the cycle of being reincarnated, being a heavy meaning to this card.
Right. And it's also gone to, and I can't remember, it's like just as we're sitting here talking about it, you talk about the 8 spokes, and then also we have the inside, and then we have the 2 wheels.
Right, the macrocosm and microcosm.
Right.
And we'll see that with the Rider-Waite
here.
Smith card. Yes, here we go.
Which is 1909.
Yeah. So Waite, he has, if you notice on the wheel, the ROTA, it's a transliteration of tarot, but it means the wheel, like we discussed earlier.
Or it's ROT, Rota.
Rota, yep. Rota. And then, and it represents providence. In Waite's pictorial key, we learn that the 4 living creatures on the corners signify divine intervention without, meaning the macrocosm, and the divine name on the wheel is the divine intervention within, meaning the microcosm. So you've got that play between macro and micro.
Right, and he also threw in all the, he was into the Kabbalah, obviously, and so Torah also means book of the law.
Right, there's, yeah,
Right.
So there's many ways to read.
So you have Rota, you have Torah, because you just use the same T over again.
Yeah, it's chance and fate. However, behind the general notion is another implication to rise above. That's from the manual of cartomancy.
So now we're going more into the esoteric stuff. So
Absolutely.
now, he's the Golden Dawn. We have Worth, who's more of a Rosicrucian, Freemasonry, stuff like that. So originally, as some people may or may not know, the tarot did not come from Egypt, which, as you notice, you have all the Egyptian symbolism here.
Yes, but like I like to say, it's not that it makes it wrong. It's just that they see these correspondences that they resonate with them, add it.
I like to throw out that de Gebelin lied to sell books because Egyptology was a big thing at the time. Am I wrong? The primitive. So he was selling books, and so he couldn't read hieroglyphs. Nobody could at that point.
At that time, because they hadn't had the translation.
So he said that the tarot was originally hieroglyphs that we have bastardized and everything else, and he said that they had originally an Egyptian.
He was making a passionate guess.
But was he making it up?
He was
a passionate guess. Oh my God! I'm going to use that next time I kind of
want to stretch the truth. When you're stretching the truth.
Yeah. So in all fact, the tarot has nothing to do with Egypt. Doesn't have
That's
Egyptology.
It had nothing to do with Egypt until people started adding
until
to it.
Right, Gebelin added that in
Exactly, and then
until went from there, and then they start, because again, belief builds upon belief, builds upon belief,
and it just adds another layer.
Yes.
And also with the weight, you'll see these alchemical sigils around the wheel here, going from so you've got salt, you've got mercury, you've got sulfur, and you've got water.
Yep.
Now, what this symbolizes is this the alchemist turning base metals into gold, which is an allegory for the soul being refined through a life of chance and change, leading to enlightenment through a conscious experience. So it plays into both ideas of the wheel, being both the idea of chance and as well as being the idea of incarnations and cyclical refinement of the soul. So that I really personally love these alchemical symbols that are that Waite uses. So I'm going to have on my card each of the people, and I'm going to have people going around the wheel. So I'm going to have the charioteer from the chariot card rising up through force of will, having the Hierophant on top in power, and the hanged man enlightened but falling down, upside down, going down, and then death on the bottom. But each of them will be holding a golden sphere that will have one of these alchemical sigils on it. Yeah.
And yeah, I've even read where people say that those four chemicals together are the building blocks of life.
Sure. Yeah.
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 So let me see, what else was there. So we have the end of the Sphinx. What is the Sphinx doing up top of there?
It's in power, right?
He's the keeper of secrets.
There, that too. Sure.
Because we all know about that. The
secret society.
Well,
gotta have your secrets.
And the Sphinx asking.
Yeah.
The riddle. What is the riddle? What is it? What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, 3 legs in the evening, and then and then 2 legs and then 3 legs in the evening, which is
a shadow.
Man.
Oh man.
Because you start out crawling.
Oh, gotcha.
Then you stand up and you're 2, and
then, I love riddles. But I don't know that. I didn't get that
3.
one.
It's because the cane.
Gotcha. Yeah. The cane.
So that's the famous riddle.
Yeah. I should have known that.
I think that's from Oedipus, isn't it? I can't remember, but I think it is. Anyway, but the Sphinx is the keeper of secrets. He is the gate. He's the guardian of secrets.
That's awesome.
So
go ahead. Oh, I
was going to say, and it's like, I didn't look it up, but it's like also the 4 elements are represented here.
Right. That's the macrocosm. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have, and I'm trying to remember what it was. So we have, that's the eagle. So the eagle is, I know the bull is earth.
Right.
The angel is cups. Leo is fire. And that means that the eagle is air.
Right.
Yeah.
Then there's some traditions. Yeah, there's some traditions that they switch the air and the water to make it extra confusing. I think Crowley's deck does that. So,
but looking at this, that looks more like it's a phoenix.
Yeah.
But no, that's an eagle.
Right. Well, Pamela was rushing to get these done. Right. Oh, and I like how she turns the negative aspects, the Typhon, into a snake. Going with that more Christian symbology, I'm sure influenced by Waite, saying, make that guy that is all about matter and negativity, make it a serpent, because that's, like Lucifer.
Right.
So, and that...
and it's life force plunging into the material world.
Right. But she still has, your Hermes and Anubis hybrid with the going up.
Egyptian god of the dead who welcomes souls to the underworld.
Indeed. But also a scribe of knowledge. Hermes combined with Anubis makes...
Who combined? Because to tell you the truth, it's like I don't remember reading about those being combined. I have no... I mean, you're more into the esoteric side of it. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I know that the Greeks, idolized the Egyptians.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of the Greek gods came from, because they really idolized their religions. So I guess what you're saying is that Hermes, Anubis translated into Hermes.
Well, it became a kind of a combination.
Okay.
Yeah. And much like the Emerald Tablet was like it was Thoth, thrice great. Mm-hmm. And so it became Hermes. Trismegistus.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But it's basically
Hermes the tongue twister.
Yeah. But Hermes to the third power is like, oh, we like your Thoth, and he's 3 times as great as what we've come up with the our Hermes. So we'll call our Hermes the thrice great to put him on the same level as Thoth and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of tipping hats and paying tribute to those who came before.
Yeah.
It was not as egotistical back then. You would say, if you wanted cred, you would say, Hermes the thrice great wrote it. I didn't write it. See, Hermes wrote it, and that makes it good. Oh, okay, that's cool. But yeah, and there was one more thing that I wanted to bring up regarding a Buddhist view regarding the wheel, which is that the ideal is not to reach the top, but rather a place where there is no up and down, and that's the center of the wheel, which is nirvana, enlightenment. It's where the karma winds don't blow. It's where everything is still. So if you get out of the painful cycle of spinning around that wheel and find that center where you can actually just
when you're a kid and you're
still
remember as a kid and you'd sit there and spin that wheel around and people on the outside are like holding on for dear life, and if you're in the middle,
you're fine.
There's a calm.
The eye of the storm.
There's a calm.
Exactly. So if you find that zen, that's what you are striving for through many incarnations, is to get to that center, so that you can rejoin with the divine and experience nirvana.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, anything else in particular?
Let me see.
Because then we can jump, because we're at 6:17. So
yeah, a little bit of time left to do a.
So the big thing that I like doing is actually using the card in a reading. See how it reflects in real time.
How it reacts to other cards.
Because again, it's like, we can say what this card means, but the true meaning really shows itself when there's a card to the left and a card to the right, for example.
Absolutely.
Because all the cards
play against each other.
Yeah, they have a unlimited number of meanings based on what we have. What deck are you going to use?
I think I'll go with Rider-Waite-Smith this time.
Okay, I'm going to go with my... I have really started to come to love the Oswald Wirth. Yes. Yeah. That is slowly becoming my favorite. What did I do with that? Okay.
That esoterica is rubbing off on you, but just French style.
No, it's just a
it is
wonderful deck.
It is a very cool deck. I do like the Wirth.
So what did you do with? There you are. Yeah. I'll use this sometimes in the morning for the meditation, just because it really seems to.
I've seen you do that.
To pop.
Why don't you go first, because I'm trying to find my wheel card.
Okie dokie. You want to use 2 wheel cards? There's mine.
I know, right? There it is.
Okay. So again, this is just to see how
it reacts.
Yeah.
Interesting reaction.
In a real reading. So I'm using the Oswald Wirth, and I'm just going to do the 3 cards. So we have the wheel here. So if we think about this for a second, if I was going to use the wheel in a reading, so let's see. I would say what lifts us up, what lifts us down, and what secrets we need to know.
I like that.
So, what secret we need to know to be able to move to where we're looking to get. So, I just made that up real quick.
But I like it. I think I'm going to follow that for mine as well.
Cool.
You do you.
What lifts us up, what lifts us down, and what secrets we need to know. Like I'm doing a real reading. It's like, no, this is not a real reading. This is a bad habit. Okay, so what brings us down, what lifts us up, and what secret we need to know. So, what brings us down?
Is death.
Well, the fear of death, the transition, I would say.
It's
So
scary.
What lifts us up? So, ooh.
10 of Cups. That sure lifts me up.
10 of Cups. Okay. Which is, things going really, really well. So when things are going well, we feel great. But when it's time for a change, it's like, no, I want to go back. It's, again, being willing to let go and move forward. Mm-hmm. And so what is it, the secret? What is it that we need to know? We need to know that everything starts over new.
The Ace of Cups.
The secret is with the Ace of Cups. So that's a beautiful reading.
I love that
there.
one. I love that.
So again, here we go. So I just used the signifier because change. And we all fear change. So again, what it is that we're afraid of or what brings us down, change. And the
Change
fear
is
of
hard.
change. And what lifts us up again is just whenever things are good, we're great. We're fine. We don't like that change. But again, the secret to this and what we need to know is that everything starts over new.
That's right.
And that's a good thing. And this cup is full and bountiful and everything else. So
that's perfect. I love that. That is great. Can I show my the cards real quick?
Yes.
So the Worth deck is so pretty. Here's Death. Don't fear the Reaper.
Let's see if we can, on yours, I'll hold it up like this.
Okay, cool.
How about that?
There we go. That's the spread. And I love in the Oswald Worth deck how the majors repeat in the minors. So you'll see the wheel imagery sneaking into this 10 of Cups.
Michael's got his own camera.
Here we go. Put it back down.
Okay. Yes, that is beautiful. Okay.
But, there we go.
Okay, so you want to use your rider weight? Okay.
Yeah.
So
that is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat that. That was pretty
great.
That was pretty spot on, but we'll see what we do. Okay, so we've got the wheel.
I really do have a connection, don't I? I'm the one who's not esoteric. I'm the one who's like, I just use them like a Ouija. I use them like a Rorschach test. But man, I get some freaky spot on.
Oh, the tarot is amazing how it always connects.
Anyway, go ahead.
It connects with me too.
I love this stuff more than you can imagine.
We went for it. Okay, so we've got what rises up and what brings us down.
Yep.
And the secret we have to learn, or that's
whatever makes you feel. Yep.
I love that spread. So we're gonna continue on with that. Okay, so bringing down the Lovers for this. Okay, so it's a choice, and sometimes it's a hard choice, and sometimes butterflies are all good at the beginning of a relationship, but sometimes through those hard times in the relationship, it can there can be some hardships there.
You take the butterflies, you pin them to the wall.
Right. So I mean, so
you take them for granted.
You can be taken for granted, and that's not fun.
So difficult choices. Okay.
Yeah, difficult relationships sometimes. But what can bring us up? What can bring us up is paying homage to the Queen of Wands, and she has the flower, the sunflower, pointed at the sun, focusing on the positive. And so, even though there are sometimes hardship in relationships, if you focus on what got you connected in the first place and focus on the good things, that'll get you through those hard times. And so the sunny side is what lifts us up. So that's appropriate. And but what is the mystery on top that will tie it all together?
Ta-da! Ace of Cups again.
As if we didn't catch the lesson the first time. It's here to smack us in the face again. The Ace of Cups saying, that's the secret, is that your cup will runneth over when you learn this lesson to focus on the positive, to get through the hardship, and your cup will runneth over.
You know, and so I'm sitting here because I know you.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this, and it's like, what brings Michael up? The Queen of Wands she's fire, and she's art.
Yeah.
She is creativity.
Right.
She is, so I
The
see.
muse.
She is
My
the muse, and I
muse.
see her. Where she built, you know, so for you, what lifts you up is the art and creativity.
Absolutely.
Which the struggle is the balancing that with the other side of
domestic life, yeah.
and making those choices and things like that, which I want to create, but you know,
Yeah.
right now I'm struggling.
But I gotta walk the dog and do my chores, or Spina's gonna have my head.
Yep. And the secret is, I mean, the Ace of Cups is about giving and receiving.
Exactly.
And finding, you know,
That's the
finding
lesson.
that beginning and things. So that's really good.
Yeah,
That's really good.
That works.
Yeah.
I was worried there, but mine worked out pretty well there too. See, I'm connected.
You are. You're like magic and stuff like that.
All the things.
All the small things. So,
And big things too. Micro and macro.
yes. So, what else have you got on the Wheel of Fortune? Is there anything that we've missed?
We think we covered it.
I am looking forward to seeing your. So, are you going to have? So you're going to have your wheel. Are you going to have an axle going through, or are you just going to have the wheel? You are going to have an axle.
I will have the axle, yes.
Okay.
And the sun is...
Which, because since you're so much into the esoteric and stuff, it's just surprising that you're going to have the axle. So.
Oh, I'm into the history too. Yes,
Oh,
you know.
I know that. I know. So I find that interesting.
Yeah. And I'm having the sun that is... I'm going to have the sun visible as the wheel turns with the sun. Mm-hmm. And I'm like I said, I've got the characters from previous and future cards making cameo appearances going around the wheel, holding the orbs to connect it with the purification of the soul. And you know that there's chance, there's ups and downs. It'll have all the things.
So and now I'm kind of getting fascinated with this in the sense that it's like, okay, because the wheel is the big change. Again, this is where I see going into the cosmic, going into the next level.
The new cycle, yeah.
So what characters are you going to use again?
Okay, so going up the wheel, I have the charioteer because he represents
The force of the will to get to the top.
Correct.
Okay.
And then when you're at the top, I have him as the teacher, the Hierophant. You know, he's
Okay.
Yeah,
Because that's like the king. Well, and not the emperor.
not the emperor. No, the emperor is another good possibility.
That's almost like a traditional kind of thing. But I hear what you're saying.
with the sword.
But you're talking about a temporal, a spiritual kind of leader.
That's
at
where
the top.
at the top, yeah. And again, that was partly inspired by who is it? Robert Place's book. He was identifying the characters spinning around the wheel in that way.
Which one? The tarot, magic, and alchemy?
Yeah, I believe.
Hermeticism and
That's the one, the big one. Yep. But
in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah. Robert Place is a great author. He deep dives both into history and esoterica.
Okay, so coming down.
And coming down, I've got the Hangman because he's upside down and he's enlightened, but he's not in power, and he's learned the lesson, but he's
He's got the sacrifice and acceptance. He's lost what so he's accepting the turning of the wheel.
Correct. And
that's good.
And going down, who does he meet? But death at the bottom of the wheel. And death will help him into the next incarnation. He surrendered, but now death will help him go back up the wheel again, because death is not just death, but it's rebirth.
And I'm just kind of thinking here if there would be anything that would be in the first 10, because that's like the cycle of the first 10. I see exactly what you're saying. I'm just going through it in my head.
Yeah.
It's like, what would be good at the bottom? But, you know, I understand absolutely why you would have death there, because he's going to meet death anyway.
Exactly.
So there we go.
As the wheel spins.
So there we go. As the wheel spins around, it's like we've got all the first
the stages
10,
of life.
Stages of life.
Yep.
And then we're now going into the next 10.
The next stage. Yes, indeed.
Oh, okay. I like that a lot.
Cool.
Okay, that's going to be cool. That's going to be cool.
And speaking of the next cycle, next week,
that's number 11. What are we going to do for number 11? Are we going to do...
These go to 11.
Yes. Are we going to do justice?
No, I think we've already done justice, haven't we?
We did justice.
We've already given justice.
was
justice.
number 8, but now I'm confused because we did strength
Right.
for number 8. So so we are going with the original Marseille, the original traditional method, because Waite pretty much just said, you know what, it's Thursday. Let's go ahead and switch these two.
That's not how it was.
Because of astrological reasons and things like that.
Interestingly,
and it was Thursday, and he was having tea and thought it would be nice.
But when I was reading up on Crowley's wheel, if I just can throw this one last thing in here. So he actually fixes it. So he fixes Waite's mistake, but he keeps
Waite's mistake.
But he keeps the astrological correspondences. And how does he do that? So he puts a twist on the other end as well. So so you've got the placement of the stars, or with the zodiac or whatever, and he had and Waite twisted it so that the strength and justice would be switched so that it would line up.
Okay.
But what Crowley does is he twists it on the other end to balance it, so he messes up two of the other cards, not in any the order of the actual cards, because he was more true to the Marseille tradition, but he twists astrologically, so that, I forget which two, but at the other end, the cards that are representing certain astrological correlations, he flips on that end too, so that it balances, which I thought was an interesting way to do it. Now, again, in my deck, I am throwing all those astrological correspondences out the window, because I've got cards that handle the the zodiac cards, much like the Minchiati deck, as their own cards. So there's no need to infuse them with the other existing cards, because I've got separate cards just for them.
Right.
Anyway.
So that was exciting.
That was fun.
And so I'm going to enjoy going to strength.
Yes, strength or fortitude.
Fortitude. Yep. Yeah. Fortitude, strength.
Yes.
So that'll be
cool. Next week.
And don't take offense. It's like I read the Rider-Waite all the time. I understand what he was doing.
No offense taken.
Yes, and so I'm joking about that to a point.
I just think that it's fun how Crowley is like, trying to fix things but still make it happen. It's just amusing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are good to go here.
Yep. I think we're over time. As always, a pleasure, Jamie.
Yes. All right. So I hope somebody got something out of this. So thanks a lot, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye.